Hey guys, so this is going to be my first time doing a voiceover of my lessons. This was about 3 days worth of lessons, 2 different days jumping Griffin and 1 day jumping Czar. I'm kind of nervous to post this because I make a lot of mistakes during my lessons, obviously, and God forbid you guys find out I'm not riding perfect all the time. And even though I do post videos of me, like my full clips of my horse show rounds, like I feel like this I'm working on more stuff at home that's like a little bit more complicated, so it can be hard. Like in the beginning of this clip, I felt like I was driving with my seat too much, and yeah, these were like the first 4 jumps other than like the warm-up tiny jumps that we did, so like they're not gonna be perfect, but again, just makes me nervous. So let's just get into it since I'm already jumping. So I chipped into that, obviously, and he didn't want to come back, but we jumped out nice once he started listening to me. I also have to note that before this lesson, I had taken 2 weeks off of riding because I went home to visit my family, so he hadn't jumped in 2 weeks, so he was literally like riding a freight train this day. And you can probably see in some of the clips, like, I'm having a hard time getting him back a little bit because like he's just so excited to be jumping. And something that might also not come across in these videos is he is still a young horse. He's 8, he's going to be turning 9 soon, but he is relatively young, and there are a lot of things that we need to work on, particularly in the area of like rebuilding his flat foundation, because he's such a powerful horse, which you can probably tell in the videos, but he doesn't want to use his body correctly all the time. So it takes like every muscle in my body to get him to push from behind and also like collect and not be just strung out. So I don't know if you can tell in the videos, but I'm always using every muscle in my body while riding him, which is good because obviously it's challenging me to become a better rider. But coming off of Czar, and then see, there he is not wanting to come back to me for this trot jump. um but he's figuring it out as we go. Not the prettiest, but like I said, we're still working on our trot jumps. And then we were rolling back to this oxer. I kind of got jumped out of the tack there, but he was really good moving up to get that distance. And yeah, he's definitely a horse that's going to take me to the next level because he is going to teach me so much, but it's not like riding an equitation horse like I have with Czar, who has his own challenges. Of course, if you've seen any of my videos about Czar, you know. But he really like needs me to tell him what to do. So that's been challenging and rewarding at the same time. Like you can see right there in that rollback we just did, he really wants to drift to the left and like lean to the left when he lands, so that's something we've been working on. And you know, it's like it's not going to get fixed in one lesson, so that's just like an ongoing thing that we've been working on. And especially this day because like I said, he was just feeling really strong. So back to this. Okay, we chipped into this line, and he's really good about moving up. That is like one of his biggest strengths. Like he can really move up when he needs to, which I love. Coming off a horse that doesn't want to ever take like a slightly long distance. So that bending line rode really nicely. I was happy with that. My trainer kept telling us that it was a 5, even though clearly it was a 6 if you just watched that. And then we're back to the trot jump, again challenging for us. And then here this rollback would have been perfect, but I moved up a little bit too much, so we got too close, and then he had the rail, but that's okay. It happens. And then where are we going next? Oh, this long approach oxer. And for some reason, I was doing this kind of well today. Usually that's going to be the hard one. But we found that distance, and then coming around to this rollback, this one was probably the hardest part for me because, you know, I kind of like galloped up to that oxer, so we had a lot of speed, and then turning back to the rollback. Honestly, this was one of the better ones because we didn't lean as much, but we did chip out of it, so not perfect, but that's okay. And then there's Vivian. Here's my lesson on Griffin from Sunday. That other one was from Friday. Oh, and there's Natalie's beautiful nails. And I think this is just us warming up. Here's this one stride that she set, and I got left behind. Sorry, Griffin. He is really good about taking a mistake like that, which I appreciate. And now I'm kind of in the rhythm, so flowing with him. And this day I think he was like moving off my leg a little bit better because he had kind of gotten his silliness out and excitement from starting to jump again. So here we're coming back to the 4, and I moved up a lot to get to the in, which is probably not the best choice because then I chipped out, because he does have a super big stride, so if I come in strong, it is hard to get him back in the line. So I could have definitely added an extra half halt in there. And our changes are a bit late. right now, but I'm not too concerned with that since we are doing the jumpers. It's not my biggest priority. And then we're back to the trot fence. And he wanted to canter, so I circled him around because he needs a trot, because that's the whole point. He doesn't totally understand why we do trot jumps yet, which is going to come back later in this lesson because my trainer was torturing us with them. But we're working on it, and I don't know where we're going next. Let's see. Here, I'm kind of trying to develop the canter. I guess we're coming to this diagonal, and he wants to get going, a little bit short. Rolling back to the oxer, I'm guessing. Let's see how we go. And moved up maybe a hair too much, but jumped out nicely. And his canter this day is a little bit more consistent. We jumped in nicely there. And he does swap in front of the jumps all the time. You can see his left drift right there. That's something we're working on, but again, we're jumpers, so not as urgent. There I kind of lifted my hand up a little bit too high to turn, and I didn't release enough over the jump, so that was not good on my part. That's a mistake that I do rarely make, but it happens sometimes, and it sucks. And here we are, back to the rollback. I jumped in big, which again makes it kind of hard to get him back for the rollback, but he did come back a little better, and then there's that swap again. That's okay, but he did want to drift left. I don't care as much about the swap as I do about the drifting left right after the jump, so that was our first course. Let's see if we fix it the second time. So we jumped in nicely there on the diagonal single. I think I'm coming around to the 5 stride again. There's Mongala. And we jumped in nicely. This, I think, yeah, okay. That was nice too. But then right there, there's that little drift.
Hopefully I'm
not as bad. It is getting better as these courses go on, and now I'm rolling. Okay, this is where it got hard because she wanted us to canter over that single and then go back down to the trot, and you can see there I just didn't even accomplish that. Like, he was like, what are you talking about? Why are you slowing me down? Like, there's literally a jump right there. So we went back around to try it again. This probably took like 2 or 3 tries, I think, and I put them all in just to show you guys that sometimes it takes a lot of work. And then right here, I probably should have started half halting a little sooner. Like, I think my trainer probably said in the video, like, you didn't even try there. And honestly, it kind of looks like I didn't. Like, what am I doing? So 3rd time's a charm. And I cut this part a little bit so you guys don't have to watch me just canter all the way around again. But then we finally got the hang of it. He's like, okay, maybe I actually should listen to what she's saying. Even though it was only a few steps of trot, at least he understood what I was asking him. And then because I was so focused on the trot jump, I did not shape that turn out nicely. Chipped in, had the rail, and then had to move up. But like I said, moving up, that is his strong suit, so we were able to jump out nicely. So then we went around to the 1 stride, which that turn was pretty nice. I think I could have shaved out a hair more and just left a little farther away to the 1 stride. Would have looked a little smoother, but not too bad. And then this turn was pretty good. I shaped it out a little better, and yeah, so I was pretty happy with the end of that course. And then that, chipped in a little bit. The first single on a long approach is also a struggle for me, working on getting a little better there, but we're back to the 5 stride. Jumped in a little short, but I think we jump out nicely, and there's the swap. However, the drift was better that time, so I'll take it. He does get a little sassy in the corner sometimes when he's feeling excited, and then here I am begging him to trot, and he does not care. So once again, we went back around to attempt the canter jump to trot jump situation. And this time, we actually got the trot from a reasonable distance away. So I would say that was probably the best one. And then that was a nice clean change, shaped that out better, but still had the rail. So probably a hair short, and then jumped out a hair short as well. Could have brought him back a little better in that line.
No, we cannot.
And then I believe this is turning back to the 1 stride. Oh, no, we're doing the trot again. Okay, actually, that one was the best one. He listened a lot better. I didn't have to, half halt as much, so that was better. And then now I'm actually shaping this out.
That's okay.
Jumped in nicely.
That was a good ride.
Took back a little better, and so jumped out a little better there. So overall, we fixed that part,
You got
which I'm
this,
happy
Sophie.
with, and now we're rolling back to the one stride. Let's see how we do. Okay, that was shaped out better than the last time, and jumped in nicer,
So hard.
and jumped out nicer, so we like to see it. And then this turn I don't think was my best. Let's see, I jumped in a little short,
Good grief on.
um,
Everything looks better in the video.
and
The breach is like
yeah, jumped out too short. That's what I thought. So I think I was happy with the rest of the course, so I just asked my trainer to redo that one little part. But I just left in this clip of him trotting because he looks so cute. So here we are reattempting the last little rollback. So I came in with more canter and got straight to it, a little bit weak, but good distance, and then kept more power in the turn to jump out a lot nicer than last time. So I think we ended it there. I was very happy with how he was today. And then here is later that afternoon my jumping lesson on Czar. And if you haven't seen any of my videos on Czar, you might not know, but I do have like a history of a lot of up and downs with our confidence, but right now I would say we're at kind of a high. I'm back to jumping him like in the 2.9 range, and what I really think has helped my confidence with him is honestly riding Griffin, and riding a horse that's always going to jump pretty much, and because Czar's a stopper, so that's taken away a lot of my confidence. But you'll notice that since this is my first course, I always add a stride with Czar because he's much more comfortable at a chip kind of than if it was going to be a long one. And since even though he's a big horse, he has like a really small stride for a big horse, so I kind of never know what his vibe is going to be until I start jumping, so I always add a stride. And there in that first line that was the 4, you can hear my trainer say, okay, yeah, you can get the 4, even though I just did 5 because we chipped out big time. And then that line across the diagonal was a 5, but I got 6, and that 6 actually rode nicely for the height of the jump, so I think we were going to stick with that. And you saw his trot jump there. He is a pro at trot jumps, so I've been a little spoiled with that compared to Griffin. And yeah, so for our first course, this was actually great for us because I was riding him confidently. We were hitting our distances, which a lot of the times my nerves and just like knowing how he is leads to me chipping to everything. So we're kind of trying to get past that. But I was actually super happy with him this day because I feel like we had like a really nice flow going, and that one was a hair short, but again, like he's just not one to take any type of long distance, so I never want to like push him up to the jump if I don't know where I'm going to be. And here I chipped in, but stupidly I moved up on the last stride thinking that I could make the 4, and my trainer had told me before like, oh, you can get the 4, but I should have just held him back for the 5 knowing that we chipped in, because like I just changed my mind too many times, and that led to him stopping and me falling off. So I was a little bit feeling too confident, too good about how he was, so I got back on and we did it in 5 to rebuild a little bit of confidence and get him over it, and he rode that nicely. And then my trainer goes, okay, now get the 4, and I'm like yelling, no, I don't want to, and she's like, you can do it. So I went back around and I tried to get the 4, and let's see how it goes. I think, yeah, the first time he stops at this because I moved him up a little too much and he got nervous, and he could probably tell I was like a little anxious, so that happened. And here, that's just a good example of how like we kind of feed off of each other's nerves and get into this situation. But then I circled him around and moved him up in the beginning of the line to get the 4, and I was really happy with that, honestly. And even though I fell off, this was like a really good ride for us, because like I said, like I was just feeling confident jumping him, and he was having a lot of fun. It might not look like he is when he stops, but I can just tell like when he's got more speed and his ears are forward, he does really enjoy a little jump. But yeah, those were my lessons, and thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting, and let me know if you have any other questions.